Dun, 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 dun. It's the High Points.
Yeah.
This week on High Points, first of all, we're going to find out, is Bitcoin going to hit $1 million in the next 90 days? Eric, what do you think?
Definitely, for sure. 100%. I'm convinced.
Secondly, we're going to talk about a new way to earn on the Bling platform. It's called Creator Points. It's coming out with Blingdoms, and we're going to talk about how that works. Lastly, we're going to be talking about the music for Blingdoms. We hinted at it last week. We have the key influence and creator.
It's so good. If I can tell you, it's
brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, completely not ever been done before.
You're going to love it.
The creativity mind behind it. We've got a lot of external people who worked on it together to create some really awesome tracks we're going to talk about and even sample some of that music. Some of it isn't even going to be from the game. It's going to be stuff that we're holding back for later. Make sure to check it out. All right, we're jumping straight in, and the first thing we're looking to do is we're going to find out what the winner of the week is going to win.
Yeah.
You can see now there's a new option on the wheel that someone from the team put on here, but I think we're just going to leave it and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, actually, we'll rip it and see what's under there, if it lands up there.
You don't want to
It
send
could be
boba
nothing.
across the world, Eric?
I mean, maybe.
There are
yeah.
kits and stuff we could get.
That's true.
Well, let's think about it. Let's just see what you win. Eric, you want to do the honors?
Let's do it.
Is
And
it
broke
going to
the
be
wheel.
the boba? No, it's not. It's
Oh,
250 million
250.
again, just like last week.
Dang, goals. We're gonna up the
Congratulations.
prices at some point too, and switch it up.
So, actually, the price of Bitcoin has gone up, which means that this is actually worth more money than it was last week by quite a bit. Yeah. So that's something we're going to talk about in a bit. But before we get into that, we wanted to talk about the $1 million Bitcoin concept.
Yes.
It's not something that's really been on the forefront of my mind, but there is someone who it's been on the forefront of their mind, and that person's name is Balaji Srinivasan.
Balaji Srinivasan.
There you go.
We didn't have to listen to that beforehand to find out the pronunciation.
We definitely did
we,
not.
Eric?
We knew that. What
Okay.
It was exactly.
Balaji Srinivasan.
Well, so Balaji used to work for Coinbase, actually, and now is, I don't know, like a free, independently wealthy person, it appears, based on this bet. He's betting $2 million that he's going to give in US dollars to someone if Bitcoin doesn't hit $1 million in 90 days, which sounds, I'd like that bet.
I know,
And
90 days.
if it does hit $1 million, then they just have to give him one Bitcoin. So in theory, if you had a Bitcoin right now, you could bet him, and you just have to give him that Bitcoin in 90 days.
And is he taking bets from anybody, or is it somebody specific?
So a lot of people wanted the bet from what I saw on Twitter. They're like, I'll take that bet. Like, I mean, I think Bling would have taken
I
the
know.
bet. Like, hey, we'll take the bet.
We'll take the lot.
You know? But I think one of them was like, I think like some kind of economist person he was arguing with, and he said, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And if Bitcoin doesn't hit $1 million in 90 days, I will give you $1 million in US dollars.
Dang.
I don't know if the bet actually is going down, but the interesting thing is that the Bitcoin price has actually climbed quite a bit since he said that.
Yeah.
And his reasoning, I went and read all of the stuff of what he was talking about, and he was basically saying he thinks that the banking system in the United States is broken, kind of like we talked about last week with SVB. And he thinks that the world is going to enter hyper-Bitcoinization in the next 90 days, which means that the reserve currency for the world, which is the backing currency to all the currencies in the world, would move from being what it's been in the past in the US dollar and all the other things that's been gold to being Bitcoin. What do you think,
Hyper
Eric?
bits on what was it? What was the word again?
Hyper-Bitcoinization.
Hyper-Bitcoinization.
I like that
It's
word.
something that Bitcoin maximalists really believe in, that basically traditionally the world had a gold backing, so it was considered to be a gold standard, and then the United States moved off of that. A lot of other countries moved off, pretty much every other country moved off of it into the systems that we have now, where there's really not anything backing the currency except for, you know, governments enforcing the use of their currency. And so that creates inflation over time. And so kind of where Bitcoin, part of the ideology that Bitcoin came from was, well, the governments can't inflate Bitcoin. There's only ever going to be 21 million. We always have this conversation which is like, oh, the government's printing more money. You can't print more Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So therefore, there's only going to be 21 million. It's a stable currency to use as a world kind of backing currency for everything else that kind of keeps everybody honest, was the idea.
Yeah.
And so he believes that that's going to happen, and he says it's going to be something that happens very suddenly by maybe a small country announcing that they're switching to all their reserves to Bitcoin, and then it's just going to be a mad dash to get in before it goes crazy. Like, that's his belief.
I mean, 90 days seems. I mean, time goes by so fast, and I'm like gonna be watching closely because I mean, if in a couple of days it has gone a lot, so it's kind of like.
So apparently, to be on track, it would have to be at like 72,000 already in a linear price scale. So it's not. I read that. I don't know if that's true because I haven't done the calculation since he said it.
Yeah.
But I mean, his point is it's going to happen very unexpectedly and suddenly, and his part of his reasoning was that he claims banks and the governments are lying to us about the stability of where their currencies are at right now, and that the U.S. dollar is about to enter hyperinflation. Is his claim, and I don't know, his backing material. I felt like it was a little thin, to be honest, when I looked at it. So
like he's putting his money where his mouth is, so it's kind of like,
well, dude, he's going to give up $2 million if he's wrong.
That's crazy.
How much money does this guy have?
I know. That's why it's like
maybe it's not a lot of money to him.
It's got to be something in it for him though, because it's kind of like if it doesn't reach it, the fact that the price is going up anyway, it's like.
Well, the thing is, like, why does he need to make the bet? When you think about it, if let's say he has Bitcoin, if it does go to $1 million, he's gonna have so much money that like he doesn't need the bet.
Gonna be like nothing.
Yeah. But if it doesn't, which is the more likely scenario, nothing changes from the current price. That seems like the most obvious scenario.
Yeah.
He's gonna lose $2 million.
Yeah, but if he got in on Bitcoin early, the fact that it's rising, you know what I mean? Like, let's say he paid whatever. $100, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if he paid back in the day, so that's why $2 million might not be that much if it's like rising anyway.
He must be super rich. It's the only way it makes sense.
Yeah.
And the theory is that he's not throwing money away even if he doesn't win, because if he has caused the price to go up and he holds a lot of Bitcoin, he may have actually made more than $2 million from that price rise.
Like it's got to be something in it for him, because $2 million. I mean, to us it seems like a lot of money, but I guess if you're rich, like they're like, well, whatever. $2 million's like.
I get it where numbers just become numbers. Like if I compare now to when I was 12.
Yeah.
$100 was a lot of money to me, and now it's like that'll barely pay for dinner. You know, like a lot of places. But back then, that was like my life savings.
Yeah.
So maybe if you get to the point that you're super rich, then kind of just the same thing happens.
I think that's probably how it is too. It's like, and he's like, I mean, he likes the gambling aspect. It's kind of like it's interesting.
We like the gambling aspect too. I mean, gambling. Who doesn't like gambling? It's like one of the most.
Bitcoin's a little enticing as well because of that same reason.
Well, when you think like throughout history, like of human civilization, there's almost nothing more human than being into gambling. Like there's very few things. Yeah. There's like water and food and shelter and like gambling's almost on that on that hierarchy of needs. It's not that far off. Like I don't even think we can trace back when gambling started. Like it's something that's like humans have always been into. So I definitely get that aspect of it.
Because like a bet, I mean, people have been betting forever since you were a kid. Since you had nothing to bet, like I'll bet you my left shoelace. You know what I mean?
Like, I didn't know where that was going. Oh, that's a story I like to tell in the office. Actually, is early on in Bitcoin, there was a guy that said if Bitcoin reaches 10,000 by the end of this year, I will cut off one of my testicles.
And did he?
He did it.
He did,
and he posted the video online, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh!" And like, I never watched the video. But
I'm gonna go look for the video. Put it side by side.
Everyone's
and here's the video where the video's gonna air right here.
Everyone in the office is like, you always tell this story, but even though I didn't watch the video, I'm traumatized by the whole thing.
Just by the thought. There's a lot of videos that are like that. I'm like, I've never seen them, and I just
Yeah, I can think of a few that I've heard about in that regard. Okay, don't do it. I think it's still online in some places.
I'm sure it is.
Oh my gosh!
Now I gotta find it.
All right. Well, after this, we're gonna move on and we're gonna talk about creator points. So and that's gonna be a learning segment. So we'll jump into that now. Creator points. So today we're going to be talking about creator points for the first time. We briefly mentioned them, but today we're going to talk about how they actually are supposed to work. And I also want to mention that Blingdoms is not out yet, so creator points, what I'm showing you today is what we believe we're going to launch with Blingdoms, and it may be after the launch, but this is how we're intending for them to work. Essentially, on Blingdoms, you can create your own experiences for the first time. So you can't just play the game, but you can also be a part of that creation. And as a part of the creation, we want to make sure that those creators get credit for how they create value over the Blingdoms platform. And so the way that we're doing that is by having creator points. And creator points are, first of all, Bling points. So creator points are Bling points, but they're going into a separate bucket. The reason they're going into a separate bucket is because you receive them in a different way. You don't receive them by playing, you receive them by building. And the way that you receive them by building is a little bit different than when you create, than when you play. When you create, you don't get points right away. You get the points when other people play your experiences, and Bling actually makes money off of that player. So if they watch an ad or that kind of thing, whatever they do in our experience where they end up actually making money for Bling, we're going to give some of that back to the creators. Creators get Bling points. I'm going to say BP when someone plays their level or not level, their experience. Our game has experiences. And that player has to actually earn money for Bling. And I think that's important to mention because if you think about it, some people will play Blingdoms, but they will do things like run ad blockers or things like that. If that happens, then Bling's not going to make any revenue from that player. And so if you have 1,000 friends and they all run ad blockers and they all play your created experience, there's not going to be any revenue from that. Not for Bling, not for the creator. But if you invite all your friends to play your experience and they don't run ad blockers and they end up watching a whole bunch of ads, Bling will go ahead and take some of that money we get and we will give it back to you in Bling points. So that's basically how creator points are going to work. There's actually going to be, in the long run, we're planning to build charts into the Blingdoms app where you can actually go and see, oh, here's all the different Bling points that I've earned every day based on people playing experiences that I've created. And just to mention, it's not just your friends, obviously. It's literally anyone. So if your Blingdoms creation becomes, say, one of the ones that's listed as popular and everyone plays it, well, then you could end up having a lot of people play that level. And if they end up watching ads or doing other things to generate money for Bling, the company, then we will be giving you Bling points based on that. So that's basically how creator points work on our platform. It's something new that Bling is doing, and they're only available in the new game, Blingdoms, based on building experiences. They're not available in our other games because there's no way to create experiences and be a part of the creation in those games. So again, we hope you'll join us. We're hoping that those Bling points for creators ends up being bigger than how much you might earn from just playing our games, and that you get to be a bigger part of kind of the Bling platform economy. And so that's the big vision that we have, and we hope that you join us. It's actually a lot of fun to build experiences in Blingdoms too, and then get to experience other people playing your experiences. So that's where it all comes together. We look forward to showing it to you, and we hope that you build really cool stuff. That's it. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to talk about the music for Blingdoms, and I would say it is the music that is something I'm looking forward to the most from any game we've done before. I guess the only other game we put a lot of time into music was WordBreeze, actually, internally. But for this game, for Blingdoms, we did something totally different, and it's something we're super excited about. It started from actually a random YouTube video that I saw where this guy had hired some people to make remixes of classical music, and the results he got were really impressive on the video. And he hadn't spent a lot. He just hired several different like Fiverr music producers and said, hey, can you remix Beethoven's Fifth or whatever? I don't remember what music he used, but the end, it was like, oh my gosh, this is a legit remake. And so we in the office were talking about that, and we're like, wouldn't it be so awesome if we had a catalog of classic music that's no longer copyrighted because it's too old, but we had our own remixes of all the tracks? And so over the last, when did we start this? Maybe like 8 months ago?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I want to say like maybe even earlier than that.
Yeah, so
like,
maybe
June
almost
of last year, because the first ones that I'm looking at are June of last year were the first ones we got made.
And so we started saying, okay, well, what kind of music would fit every theme that we have in the game? Yeah. And we started testing out hiring people to shoot little bits of content. So anyway, we started to do this, and Eric kind of took over the project from the start. And we just hired, there's a number of different artists that we hired through Fiverr completely, and we got them to, we picked tracks that we thought made sense for different themes. Yeah. Eric had a big part in most all the tracks that we used were ones that he picked out. Yeah. And talk about it a little bit. Yeah,
it was just, so originally the idea was, taking classical music, but I think what I enjoyed was the fact that, like, because you like 8-bit style, that kind of, like, old school game vibes. So just in looking at that, like, we would take each theme. So, for example, the first theme we did was Kingdoms, so, which is now not Kingdoms, but, like, it's Blingdom, you know? So that was the original, like, concept idea of the first theme that we had. And then, so you, just taking that in mind, I went through, like, just different popular classical music because we wanted it to be instantly recognizable. So that's the one thing. Yeah,
that's really the thing. We had to look like, is this a track that everybody knows? And the funny thing about classical is there are so many tracks we all know, but we just don't realize we know them until you hear them and you go, oh, I didn't know that was Mozart. Or maybe you did, but you weren't sure what song it
song?
was or whatever. And so you go, oh, well, that one's really popular. Everybody knows that song.
Yeah, especially because some of them are so long, but then there's certain parts that you instantly recognize. So that's why even if it was a song that was very, it might be obscure, but there's always parts of it that you just know, and it just like you hear them everywhere. And I think the reason why classical music is just like it's classical, you know what I mean? So you can never.
Well,
get
it's
tired of it.
withstood
It's
the
so
test
good.
of time.
Yeah.
So it's obviously like just great music all around. And then copyright law says that they're not copyrighted anymore because the music's too old.
Yeah.
So we don't have to like pay royalties to remix the track.
Exactly. And what I think I enjoy about it is that every artist that we hired, like they had their own take on it. So we kind of gave them all the same directives. So it's always interesting when you give somebody the same directives, same instructions, same images, everything was the same, and then just let them run with it. I think that was the most fun part. Just like we would get excited, like waiting to hear back. Like,
Oh,
my
man.
God, like we have a new thing. Like, okay, let's see what they came up with. And just like, and then as time went on, as themes went on, we like narrowed it down to artists that were like, okay, this is going to fit the theme that we're going for. However, there's so many artists that we use that like, I would still like to, if we ever go back in the game and like, hey, have bigger music.
I think we're going to
revisit.
do more.
Yeah.
There's one song I really want to do right now, which I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because we plan to do more themes, and then we also have like different music in the menu system that we're putting in, and the builder, etc. So there's a lot of different tracks in there that they're all original works as far as the producer side, and they're all almost all of them are. I think there's one not based off of classical because we couldn't really find something that fit.
Yeah.
But it's all like we own all the rights to the tracks that we've produced. So this is like original music that we have. So do you have some that you want to play for us today?
Yeah,
and
let's start.
Just do a little reaction.
Yeah,
listening time?
let's do the very first ones that we got, because I'm interested to see how it's evolved from that. Because I actually have some in the do not use pile. Because the first one we did 1, 2, 3, we did 5 different artists in the very first time. So let's play.
So do you want to like play a couple from that round to show how they're the same song but they're different?
Let's do that. Let's start with some ones that we didn't use. That's one.
So that's just funny. The little like sounds in there, I think we ended up thinking were a little bit much.
Yeah, but I like it. It's funny because now revisiting them, I feel like they feel fresh again. And I'm like, why didn't we use this again? Like,
I do feel that way because the ones that we put in the game, we hear all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Next one.
And so what's interesting about that is those two are both based off of the same classical track.
Ode de Joy is a classical track.
Ode de Joy, who's it by?
It is.
Oh, no!
Oh, no!
I forgot.
I know. While I look that up, let's... Ode de Joy is by... Beethoven.
We're showing our like lack of literacy in classical music right now.
Yeah, but
we've just listened to so many.
I know.
So that's
yeah,
really...
we literally went through so many. The thing is that we did take the time, and then sometimes they didn't work. Sometimes we got some made that like just didn't match the theme, but I mean we still have, and then we plan on using for other themes because. As you're listening to some of these, you're like, oh, well, I can see it being for this rather than this. You know what I mean? So these are some of the ones. I think this is the one we ended up using. Yeah.
I think that one's still the best after
Yeah.
listening to all three of them that we just heard.
Well, we have two more that were also made from this, so let's give a quick listen to these. So that was good. That's like modern. Oh, this is very. I felt Zelda-y.
Yeah, a very different vibe. Like I think could make sense for like another style game potentially. Then
Yeah, because ultimately we wanted the 8-bit style, but like it's interesting that again these were all given the same directives and they just took it in so many different ways.
such different feels. Yeah, so much personality on each one for sure. Super fun. So is there any other track like from the game that was your kind of your favorite?
I personally enjoy like the candy theme because to me this is one of the most recognizable like songs that like one of the most recognizable classical music. You can't hear it as much in this, but this is that to me is one of the the one that I had the most fun with. These are some other ones that
Same track?
same track.
Makes me wonder if we should like put all the tracks in and then randomize which one gets selected for a theme, and then like let the creator choose, so that we get more music variety.
Yeah, I think
game.
it would help because I like some too.
So much good stuff, and like you said, now that I listen back to these, because some of them I haven't heard since last year, I like them all for different reasons, and I feel like I kind of would like them all in the game just because if there's not enough tracks, it gets repetitive.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we'll get there to adding all this stuff in.
That'd be great because, like, I mean, a lot of these, again, everybody has different taste in music anyway, to begin with, you know what I mean? And if you're giving people options to, I mean, we have them,
Right.
it's a
When you
fun
see
way.
the creators putting their personality into levels,
Yeah.
having the music be a part of that is kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
Overall.
So one of the themes that we have not done yet, but it was originally a theme that we were gonna go with, the SoCal surf theme. That was actually the only theme that we did not have a classical music that felt like it matched. So what we ended up doing for that one was taking surf guitar, right? That was something that, because when you think like surfing in California, you think of that old school song that was like that style of surf guitar.
Right.
So that was kind of like the concept behind that one. And then so we decided like, okay, well, let's get an original track made off of that kind of style. And what we ended up with, I think, was pretty great. This is one of my favorites.
That one, like, it just brings me back so much to Nintendo in the sense that there was a game called TNC Surf and a couple other, I think there's another surfing one too, or skating one that had that, California Games. They had that kind of like genre of surf guitar sound, and I totally get what they were going for after thinking about this more, because California has so many things about it that it's hard to know what the style would be for California. Like, you think, well, a lot of hip hop comes from California, so you could go that direction, but it doesn't uniquely define California in the same way that like the surf guitar kind of thing could. Maybe Beach Boys kind of esque stuff too. So it's like, it's hard to figure out, how do you give something where someone's going to think of California when they hear it?
Because it's like, I think of it like fun in the sun. That's what I would describe. Because like California is always like, even when it's like rainy, like it's been recently, like it's always, the sun's always gonna come out. You know what I mean? So I think like that's kind of why, like, I always, when I think of California, like I always think beach vibes. I always think that kind of style, despite me not even going to the beach that often. But you know what I mean? You still get that style. This is another one we got made for that thing. Yeah, see, so
that one's super fun.
Yeah.
I think in general, I think I like almost all of these, and super talented people put work into building these for us, and I'm just really impressed with their work. And Eric, obviously, super impressed with the effort that you put in. You really have a knack for this, and that's something we kind of at Bling discovered. I think you kind of knew because you had past experience doing similar stuff, but for us, it wasn't what we hired you for. So it's like, oh, Eric has a knack for doing this, So, and that's because of, like, you did other audio stuff.
Yeah,
before
I did.
this.
So I worked at a voiceover agency before, so I would listen to a lot of auditions, a lot of music, like just a lot of commercials, a lot of everything. So it's just like listening to stuff. It's
just having an ear.
Just having an ear for what sounds good, what doesn't sound good. It's just, But I think like everything that we came out with, like, it was very few songs that I was ever like, that's not great. Like, we were like, okay, it might not be for this, but it's always been great, which I think is something that we found from this experiment. Because like, just getting excited, and I think it excites us about the game even more, and the potential that it has in the future for when we could put out all these tracks. And like there's a lot more that we have that we haven't shown you yet, but you'll get to see in the game, and then maybe in the future you'll get to see them again as well.
So definitely don't keep your phone on mute when you're playing Blingdoms if you want to check out this original music that we have. And if you get annoyed with the music, let us know, and we'll probably put more of a priority into getting these other tracks in. But Eric, I want to thank you for all your hard work, and everyone else who actually produced these tracks for us. I want to thank you if you're watching this. It was a great experience for us and something that we look to draw on as a catalog for our company in years to come.
For sure.
So
Can't wait for that.
Awesome. Well, that's it for today's High Points episode, and we want to thank Eric for coming on and being not only my co-host but also being the interviewee today, talk about music. We're super excited about Blingdoms. If you want to get into the beta, make sure you get onto our Discord. We're still running that closed beta. It's going great. We've got a lot of cool stuff that people have made from it, but we're always looking for more people to come check it out.
Yep.
So come do that if you have the time. And then the last thing we have to get into is
The keyword for the week.
the secret word
The
for the
secret
week.
word. What's the secret word?
Okay.
Wait.
So
which one is
the
it?
secret word for the week is Balaji Srinivasan.
Balaji Srinivasan. Balaji Srinivasan.
That is our secret word for the week, and we're going to use that for the giveaway. So if you want to get into the giveaway, that's going to be down here in the description. You need to know that secret word. We'll give credit for people who don't spell it exactly correctly this week.
If it's relatively, as long as you don't put something that's like completely
But
off.
he's still enthusiastic about Bitcoin going to $1 million. We have to be enthusiastic about giving away money.
Exactly.
So thank you for coming to watch our show, and we'll see you next time.
It's the High Point Show.
Yeah.